Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
We are live, brothers. And welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast. This is episode number 46. I am your host, Funk, the Funkster Roberts, former professional athlete turned fitness trainer, online fitness coach, transformation specialist for men over the age of 40, 50, 60. You know what? Transformation specialist for men, period. You know what I'm saying? Period. And if you're new to this podcast, well, you know, I'm a best-selling co-author of a best-selling book. I've been on ABC, NBC, CBS, you know, as a fitness expert. And I've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of men all over the world completely transform their bodies and lives. And this podcast is dedicated to men, 35, 40, 50, 60, 70 who, want to learn about men's health. You know, there's nothing out there that focuses on men over 40, that focuses on, mindset, recovery strategies, workout, nutrition, testosterone. But that's what this is. And today I'm excited because we have, again, Dr. Dominika, who is a staple on the podcast, having an amazing naturopathic doctor who also focuses on helping men she focuses on a lot, but, a lot of her clients are men over the age of 40, she focuses on hormones, a lot of things that we both, have a parallel in regards to what we do. Me on the fitness and health side and mental and mindset side, and her on the actual, health professional side. It's incredible to have her on all the time, as a constant. We have other guests, of course, as you see in some of the other podcast episodes, but Dr. Dominika has been incredible. And the fact that you can just reach out to her at any time on her Instagram, Dr. Dominika ND, is phenomenal. So we have her on today to talk about stress. And you guys are going to be shocked probably when you watch this. I'm not even going to do any spoiler alerts. I want you guys to listen to this entire episode because this is going to be the most important episode for you during these times, specifically in these COVID, isolation, lockdown, coronavirus times where stress starts to increase a little bit more, and ways on how to deal with the stress. And, there's two things that I want to talk about before we even get into this is, number one, if you are not part of the Over 40 Alpha program, you need to get it. The Alpha Brotherhood, get into it. 30 days, absolutely free. Nutrition, workouts, mindset, strategies, so you can help get you self-motivated, help get you inspired and motivated on your own. Plus, we have recovery strategies, we have nutrition, we have follow-along workouts, both only body weight, and we also have ones with body weight and dumbbells, all at the comfort of your own home. 30 days, absolutely free, over40alpha.com. If you're a man, 30, 35, 40, 50, 60, 70, who needs to get their life back, who needs to lose weight or burn belly fat or build a little lean muscle or increase your energy or obviously naturally increase your testosterone levels, then you need to get in. There's no other place on the planet right now that offers what the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood offers, because you'll have access not only to the program, but of course, weekly coaching with me. I coach you weekly. Every week we do live coaching. Been doing this. I've been doing the Zoom thing for a year, man. So Zoom's old for me. I've been doing the Zoom coaching for a year. So we've been on that for a year. My brothers know Zoom long time. Anyways, the Facebook group, that's the biggest support group. It's over 1,000 people right now. It's a support group. We support each other. It's private, it's positive, and we can go in there. Not only will I coach you in there, not only will other guys help coach you who've been in the program for 12 months, some 14 months, some 15 months, because every month we have brand new workouts. Nutrition pretty much stays the same, but also it's a place where you can let things out outside of, having nutrition problems or having a nutrition question or needing some motivation, or if you have problems in your life and you need somewhere to kind of get the stress out, which we're going to be talking about today, that's where we do it. It's crazy how guys will come in and go, hey, this is not a workout thing or whatever. I'm just having a rough week. This is what's going on. I'd love some feedback and just some good positive, feedback, comfort. And that's what happens. Guys will just write out these long things and then 20, 30 guys are in there helping them out, giving them comfort like that. It's more than just the work. Listen, you're going to transform your body. You're going to lose weight. You're going to get 6-pack abs like that. That's 100% going to happen. No doubt. Some will happen for 4 months. Some will happen in 7 months. Some will happen in 12 months, but it will happen. No doubt. That will happen. We're going to have 24 months of programming, so that will happen. I will coach you through, but it's a community that makes a difference. So if you're in the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood and you haven't got in the Facebook group, get in that Facebook group, man. Doesn't matter. If you haven't been joined the Over 40 Alpha program, which is, again, workouts, nutrition, recovery, sleep, mindset, you're going to have an app. You're going to have the website, so you can get everything on the app, pre-recorded, follow along workouts. You have the website, all the workouts, everything you need is on the website. Nutrition is so simple to follow. It's all about boosting your testosterone. That's the whole point of this whole thing, because testosterone is the most important hormone for men over 40 because we naturally lose it. There's no other program here. If you tried all these other programs, then there's nothing. You've never tried something like this, ever. There's no other program like this on the planet. No other program like this that's specific for men over 40, that's over 17 months, 16 months, 12 plus 6 is 18 months right now of programming. No way. And weekly coaching. And I answer your questions through video. And you have an app. And you have a website. And you have thousands of brothers who are going to help you. And you're going to get the incredible results. And you're going to boost your testosterone. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Anyways, over40alpha.com, 30 days free. Go in there right now. The other thing before we start, go to over40shred.com/test kit, because you need to get your testosterone levels checked. That's what our whole program is based on. That's how we track. We know, the program works when you get this kit. It's like $80. Use the code FUNK20. Go in there, get the kit. It'll be sent to you. You just put a little bit of blood in here. You package it up like they give you all the packaging, and you send it back. 4 days later, you get your results. One of their doctors or nurses will contact you, but at least you know where you're going to get, where you start. And then 6 months later, you do it again. But guess what happens in between those 6 months? You do my program. You get phenomenal results, and your testosterone levels naturally increase. 100%. It's 100% of the time it works all the time. All right. Anyways, that's it, guys. Go to over40shred.com/test kit. Get that done. Funk20 to get 20% off. That's over40shred.com/test kit. Get 20% off. Get your testosterone levels checked in the comfort of your own home and get it done. All right. So let's go. Let's get this done. Let's get that stress dealt with Dr. Dominika in today's podcast. We are live, brothers, and welcome to this episode of the Over 40 Alpha podcast. We are here today with, you know this familiar face, the familiar voice. It's Dr. Dom. How's it going, Dr. D?
I'm good, Funk. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And, we're just getting some incredible feedback from everyone who listens to your episodes, because it's just so much filled with great information, but also great takeaways that people can start, a good strategy. So I just want to start off, if you're new or if you have been watching or listening to the podcast, how do you get in touch? How do we get in touch with you? Because you're an open book. Like, you can, guys, please email first, how do you get in touch with you?
Well, honestly, the easiest way is, Instagram direct message is fantastic because, as you know, we check that stuff daily. So either Instagram or Facebook, I'm on there on a regular basis. Many of your audience members have actually reached out to me. Yes. And so I'll send them, resources, links, things that they can check out to help them on their health journey.
Cool.
So
what's your
So Dr. Dominika ND.
Right, Dr. Dominika ND. Okay, guys, please don't be afraid to reach out, because I know sometimes people are like, well, I don't know, should I reach out? Yes, 100%. If you hear something, if you want more information, this is why we have Dr. Dom on our team, in our pod. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's just a great
shy.
resource.
Don't be shy. Yeah.
And speaking of don't be shy, listen, I know for me, there's some stress happening right now. Now, my stress isn't based on some of it's based on the business, because it's actually picked up a little bit because I've had to do a little bit more for you guys in putting out more workouts, putting out, that sort of thing, and trying to grow grow the brotherhood. But, some stress for me is just like the normality of not having access to gyms and places to shoot videos and having to like kind of figure out where places to go so we can shoot. And other things are just the daily thing, like yesterday we went out we shot some videos, workouts. Then we we did we do the rounds of, we got to go to Organic Garage. We got to go to, Nations. We got to go to Shoppers. We got to, we got to go to all these places to get food and restock. But that takes 3 hours. Like that's a 3-hour journey. There's never a time where it's under 3 hours. There's never a time where, I have to stand in line at Nations, for like a half hour, right? But that's a new norm. But it can be stressful, right? Because okay, I gotta book out 3 hours just to travel to all these different places, stand in line outside, and then get in. So for me, it's a different type of stress. I'm not saying everyone has a certain amount of stress during these times, some more than others, but that's what we're going to talk about today, is how we can manage that stress, because as we know, stress is going to destroy your testosterone levels, along with so many other things that we're going to talk about. But yeah, so let's dive right in. What are your thoughts on stress and what's happening right now and how it's affecting us?
Well, it's interesting. There was a study that was published in 2008 that found that 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care doctors, so your family doctor, was for stress-related problems.
Wow. That's
75
huge.
to 90% of visits, right? And these stress-related problems were things like insomnia, anxiety, IBS, migraines, pain conditions. And so when I read this study, this was some time ago, it really challenged my belief around what the root cause of many patients' health issues were. So I used to think that the root cause was like poor diet, poor lifestyle. And now I'm actually convinced that it's stress.
Oh, wow. That's huge, because
yeah.
I'm on the nutrition lifestyle, nutrition and lifestyle, and not as convinced about stress. But let me just before you keep going, I just want to clear something. When people go in, when the 75 to 90% people go in to see their doctor, do they know they have stress, or is that okay? That's okay.
That's right. So the reason that many of us are not aware that we're stressed is that we've adapted to stress in the following way. We've become mentally hyper alert to things that are happening to us, but we've become physically numb or cut off from what is happening in our bodies, which is a problem because our bodies are what cue us to something being wrong, okay? Something being too much or something being unsustainable, right? So we're experiencing hyper alertness in the head part, but we're completely cut off from the body. And that's why we're not making the connection between feeling mentally stressed and having elevated blood pressure, or having IBS or migraines, okay? Like this stress has become so commonplace that we no longer question its place in our lives. The thing about stress is this: in small bursts followed by rest, it's good for us, right? It keeps us sharp, it keeps us performing at our best, it keeps us happy. And this type of stress actually has a technical term to it, and it's called eustress. And it was coined by an endocrinologist by the name of Hans Seeley. He was the pioneer of all research that pertained to the human stress response. And so I can give you an example of like a physical phenomenon. So for example, if you are doing like a bicep curl, if you apply a certain amount of stress, so a certain amount of weight, you get some muscle fibers tearing, and that tearing, when the body has the necessary resources, can adapt so that you'll duplicate those muscle fibers, and every fiber will have more mitochondria per fiber, right? So then that muscle becomes stronger over time.
Right.
And that's a good stress. That's an adaptive stress.
Right.
And when we talk about adaptation, it means that you are better after the stressful event than before. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we're able to bounce back from that kind of stress, it actually builds our resilience.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the good stress, or eustress. When stress occurs in large single doses. So like a toxic dose or small or like subsequent, like short but chronic stress. This is actually called de-stress. Okay. Because it doesn't actually give the body enough time to recover. And it can actually overwhelm the body's ability to adapt and bounce back. And so that type of de-stress would look like things like poor work performance and absenteeism, frequent colds and infections, poor blood sugar control, headaches, fatigue, hair loss, anxiety, insomnia, eczema, allergies. The list goes on. And it basically puts us at a greater vulnerability for stressful life events.
So when people talk about de-stressing though, that's like, so
distress.
DI.
DI.
DI. Now, okay, that's very important you said that because, distress, DISTRESS, much different from de-stressing.
Correct. DE
okay.
dash.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is when someone's in distress.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, distress. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then if you're experiencing chronic stress, like for long periods of time, then your body's not able to shut off the stress response. It goes on indefinitely, and it puts us at greater risk for things like developing cancer, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, autoimmune disorders, chronic diseases like thyroid issues and anxiety.
Right. So we've got eustress, which is good. I mean, that's kind of like the stress that I talk about when I tell these guys, listen, when you're doing a workout, this is where you're stimulating and you're breaking down muscle fibers. You're breaking down the muscle. And so that's what's happening in the gym, like, or when you're doing a workout. The day after, I call it your growth day. I call that the day your muscles recover, the day your muscles get stronger, they rebuild. But the more you continue to work out day after day after day after day, you're continuing to put stress, breakdown, not giving the body enough time to recover. But eustress, again, is good because that's what we wanted. We actually want that eustress in the times of working out, let's just say. We're just going to use working out. There's a lot of other times, like you said, we need eustress because that's when we recover from it, right? That's when we can come back stronger. But distress and chronic stress, those are the two that distress meaning in the middle, but chronic is like
that's right.
Top.
Yeah, because essentially, like in basic terms, stress is defined as the demand placed on an individual that is greater than his or her resources and therefore their ability to cope.
Right. Okay.
So when we're talking about mental emotional stress, if the stress is too much, you're not coping, you're not recovering, you're not building resilience.
Right.
Now, stress is mediated by two really important hormones in the body, cortisol and adrenaline.
Right.
So both cortisol and adrenaline are catabolic hormones, right? And when we use the word catabolic or catabolism, it means breaking down, right? So we secrete adrenaline in order to mobilize energy in the body. Okay. Right. And then we secrete cortisol in order to break down additional tissue to mobilize resources it's by design for short periods of time.
Correct.
Never designed for long term. And so even though adrenaline and cortisol are catabolic, they're offset by our anabolic hormones, which are testosterone and estrogen for women and growth hormone. Yes. But if the stress goes on for too long, then the cortisol and adrenaline load sort of outweigh anything that the growth hormone, testosterone and estrogen can do. And in fact, those hormones will go down and the cortisol and adrenaline will outcompete them. And then you are in constant inflammation and in a constant state of breakdown.
Yes. So that's why I tell you guys the long, for those of you who are listening, who are not in the brotherhood, long, steady state cardio on the elliptical or on the treadmill or stair climber. When you're doing that for 45 minutes longer, even at a medium rate, what's happening is your body's hormones are at secretion, specifically testosterone and growth hormones, is great at like 30 minutes. That's like your sweet spot. But then when you continue to do the same thing over and over again, or continue a longer workout, those hormones go in, the cortisol starts to come up, the breakdown, it starts to rise because you're just continually breaking down. Okay, let's get that cortisol, let's get, higher and higher. And next thing you know, instead of reaping the benefits of testosterone and growth hormone, you're actually reaping the non-benefits of cortisol, which and that's why what you see a lot of people who do the long states of cardio all the time, they just look the same. Yeah, at first they may lose a bit of weight, but then after a while they look the same. They may be skinny fat. They get injured a lot, because you're just you're getting that inflammation. So that's one of the type of workouts. And again, the adrenaline as well, kicks in.
Yeah.
During that time.
So I've got a question for you, Funk.
Yes.
What do you think is arguably the greatest predictor of poor stress resilience in adults?
So the greatest predictor of poor stress resilience. So basically you're asking me people who cannot deal with stress.
Mm-hmm. It's a trick question.
Yeah, because
most people don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I would think there's a whole bunch of things because there's different types of stress. So I don't know what it would be. What is it?
So arguably the single most important predictor of poor stress resilience in adulthood is having had a history of adverse childhood experiences.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So negative or adverse childhood experiences are a major risk factor for the development of things like diabetes, cancer, heart disease, lung disease, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse.
And why is that?
What we believe is that individuals with childhood stress experiences appear to be sensitized to the adverse effects of subsequent stressors on their health. So we basically see that early childhood stress activates the immune system. And if those stressors do not go away, that immune system becomes chronically activated, and a chronically activated immune system means inflammation.
Right.
It means that the cortisol response is turned on all the time.
All the time, right.
Okay. So
Yes.
when we're talking about adverse childhood experiences, we mean an event or a series of events that result in toxic stress in basically children or youth between the ages of 0 and 17. Okay.
Right.
So examples of these would be having experienced violence, abuse, or neglect,
Right.
witnessing violence in the home or community, having a family member attempt or die by suicide.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then having witnessed substance abuse, mental health problems, instability due to parental separation or divorce, or if anyone in the family was ever incarcerated.
Okay. So most people who are listening to this right now, pretty much, I would say 99% of the people listening right now would say, hey, I got that. Because I've had one of those things, and pretty much everyone, I think, between the age of 0 and 17 can pretty much check box one of what you just talked about. I know I can.
I can.
I know you can. And there's many other people out there can all say check, check, check. So
Yes.
What is the difference? Why? Well, I shouldn't even say that because I have had substance abuse problems before, and in recovery. But so yeah, I guess that. But why am I able to not get as stressed in specific situations? Why was I able to become a professional athlete?
Yeah.
But still had substance abuse problems, still have, in recovery, still, what's going on there? Why is it up and down?
So just to sort of go back for a second. So the reason that these stressors affect our health long-term is because they undermine our sense of safety, stability, and bonding with caregivers, right? So those things are compromised. And when those things are compromised, we have difficulty navigating our health, our social relationships, or our social health, and we develop behavioral problems. So you're right. adverse childhood experiences are very common. When they actually conducted the study, they conducted it in 17,000 Americans. And they found that 61% of the people polled reported having experienced one adverse childhood experience that I've listed. 40% of them reported 2 to 3, and then 16% reported 4 or more. Okay.
Right.
And if you have had 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, that increases your risk of developing alcoholism by like 700%.
Wow.
It increases your risk of suicidality by 3,000%.
Whoa.
And lung diseases like emphysema, right? And when we hear of emphysema, we think of like smoking.
Right.
But so smoking is the behavior that got us to the emphysema. Why did we start smoking to begin with? Is because we had a pre-existing adverse childhood experience, which led us to poor behavioral choices, like addiction, and then we develop subsequently chronic diseases.
Wow. So you're not, listen, I just want to say, because I know the way people are, they'll take what some things you say and they'll kind of like, well, I didn't smoke. I'm a smoker, but I didn't have any of those things that led me to smoking, which is, we're not saying that every single smoker has had that, but
of course.
Okay. So when we talk about this, please, we're not saying every single person who smokes, but a lot of them do.
Yeah. And so this is something to be explored rather than, this is none of this is diagnostic,
right? But
this is just what the research is telling us about stress and how we should be addressing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny you say that because, sorry, I'm just going to jump back in. It's funny you say that because I'm just going to use the smoking just as a lot of times people don't realize that they've had those type of things that happen to them in an early age, right? They don't realize that. They wouldn't put 2 and 2 together. So it's like, well, that's nice that you said like explore. It's like, okay. At first I was like, no, I've never had any of those things happen and I'm a smoker. I'm not a smoker. I'm just giving you an example. But when you start to think back, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I did have something. I did watch somebody get murdered in front of my face when I was 8. It wasn't a family member, but I saw that. Oh, wait a minute. Blah, blah, blah. So then you start to really unravel what happened in your childhood, right?
That's right. Basically anything that would undermine your sense of safety and stability and bonding with your caregivers, right? So for example, if you were raised by a single mom and that single mom was juggling 3 jobs, right? And she loved you unconditionally, but she wasn't emotionally available to you because she was just trying to keep her family together, then that would undermine a child's sense of safety, right? Mom's got to go out, I got to stay home alone. And the child would, not necessarily having to hear it through words, but would get a sense that there are financial issues, and that would cause a sense of lack of safety for that child.
This is amazing. Okay.
So it's really important to just explore it. Okay. So then, and the reason that we want to explore it is because it also has ramifications on our adult lives. So for example, toxic stress in individuals who have experienced adverse childhood experiences change brain development. So there are parts of the brain that will become smaller from chronic stress, and there are parts of the brain that will become bigger because of chronic stress, right? Yeah. But over time, what we see is that the brain may shrink.
Yes, I do remember that in university.
Yeah.
Neurology.
So your adverse childhood experiences predispose you to your brain development changing and shrinking. And then chronic stress and anxiety just in general in present day, if not attended to, will shrink your brain further and will affect things like your increased anxiety, worsening memory, both short-term and long-term, to name only a few issues, right? So it needs to be addressed. So my question to you is, and I want to go back to why you were resilient to what you experienced as a child. But my question to you is, having discussed all of this, what's the treatment? And one would argue, okay, well, if chronic stress results in elevated cortisol, the treatment should be lower the cortisol. Right. And my argument to that is, well, cortisol is just the effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the byproduct.
That's just the byproduct, right? Yeah. And so like we know, for example, cortisol fluctuates throughout the day and is affected by changes in our environment. without cortisol, we're dead, right? So cortisol is not a good or bad hormone. It's a lot more nuanced than that.
Right.
And what we don't understand about cortisol is that the body secretes it in response to high levels of adrenaline.
Okay. Which is another not a bad hormone, but too much of it.
Yeah. So when adrenaline is secreted, the body responds by secreting cortisol, and that cortisol brings adrenaline down.
Right.
Because if your adrenaline is unchecked, that will result in elevated blood pressure, damage to arteries, elevated blood sugar, headaches, sweating, shaking, right? So you can't have that going on indefinitely, which is why the body secretes cortisol. And so you need that. In addition, cortisol is important for regulating metabolism, reducing inflammation, assisting with memory formulation, right? And that's how we remember big events in our lives, is that adrenaline was produced and then cortisol was produced thereafter. So you actually need cortisol. It's when adrenaline is on all the time and therefore cortisol is secreted all the time that becomes a problem. So we don't want to be looking at cortisol as something that we need to treat. It's more of like a clue, not a diagnosis.
Right. Okay.
It's telling us the degree with which you are reacting in your life. Okay.
Right. So if you're not reacting in the way to naturally keep cortisol at bay, then that's a clue that there's something else that needs to change. So it's not bringing down your cortisol levels through medication or whatever. That's right. Attack the lifestyle or whatever. What's going on around you.
And I mean, as a naturopathic doctor, I will measure cortisol. And if I see that it's elevated, my short-term priority is to reduce the negative effects of cortisol.
Sure.
But that's not addressing the root cause.
Right.
So what's the treatment? Should we then be lowering adrenaline? Right. Well, the half-life of adrenaline is 2 to 3 minutes. It's the length of time that it takes to boil water in a kettle. Right. And to be honest, a wonderful way of actually getting rid of adrenaline in the body is exercise or movement. Yeah,
for sure.
Right. So discharging it. Right. So if you feel stressed out, get up from your desk, run up and down a flight of stairs, go around the corner, do a few push-ups or jumping jacks. That will help discharge the adrenaline so it has less of a negative impact on the body. Okay.
Right.
But is that the treatment?
Right. No.
And the reason that I'm bringing this up is that men respond differently to stress than women, but it's equally harmful to men.
Right.
Okay.
For sure.
So, the way that men, and again, this is just a generalization based on studies.
Totally.
So I say that as a caveat. But for example, in studies that had men and women experiencing stress, and then they were presented with facial expressions that appeared hostile, women actually leaned into it. They actually wanted to
figure it out.
Totally. Men withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay. So in times of acute stress, men tend to isolate.
Right. Of course. Yes.
Okay. So we know this as a general rule. Secondly, when women experience stress, they tend to experience more sadness or anxiety, versus men will take more, their behaviors will change so they can actually reach for things like alcohol or substances. So that becomes a problem if it's a pattern. Okay.
I've got a couple questions.
Please go right ahead.
Okay. Number one, this is good. This is great. Number one, and I may be going on a tangent, so I'll need you to stay on point after we're done this conversation. Adrenaline junkies. Why are people adrenaline junkies? Is what's going on in their body that they need to jump out of planes? They need to, ride bikes, crazily all the time. Like, why is the adrenaline junkie somebody? Like, why are they there? What's going on with their bodies? And I may be all out on a different tangent, but
yeah. So remember a few moments ago, I talked about how stress results in mental hyper alertness, but physical numbness. And again, this is not a rule when it comes to adrenaline junkies, but how there may be an aspect to it where if they feel numb in their lives due to having had certain experiences in their lives, the only way that they can feel alive is by engaging in those types of activities.
Okay, I love it.
So they have to they have to push it to the edge.
Yes.
Right?
I know a few people like that.
Yeah. So a night out with friends over great dinner is not sufficient to give them that sense of aliveness or what they believe to be aliveness.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So there may be an underlying numbness, physical numbness, that can also be quite uncomfortable.
I know a couple of fighters who, even the fact that they fight, even a fighter, a professional fighter, that is a lot of adrenaline, a lot of, to get into that ring or to octagon or what have you, and to combat with somebody who's going to hit you and punch you and try to, submit you. Like, there's a lot of adrenaline happening there. There's a lot going on. But even with that happening, there's still the tendency to be an adrenaline junkie and get it from so many other places. Because when you're fighting, you're not fighting all the time. You're training to fight, and then, you may not fight again for another 2 months or, 3 months or 4 months or whatever it is. But that adrenaline, searching for that adrenaline fix, for someone like that, I guess would make sense. Because a lot of fighters too have had some type of trauma in their past that make them want to combat. Not saying all, because there's wrestlers and all those other things that just like the sport. But there's a lot of fighters who, like, if you look on their back, they used to fight in bars, and there was something that happened in their childhood or whatever. So it's really interesting to know that there is some numbness there. There's something going on.
The other possibility
for adrenaline junkies,
the other possibility to these adrenaline junkies is that the adrenaline is actually very familiar.
Okay, right. It's a good thing that they perceive it as something that
it's kind of like I work with patients who drink coffee, and they need the coffee to get that sort of that edge. But the edge, that adrenaline, is actually just very familiar because that's what they grew up with.
Right.
So they're addicted to being in that state. It's the only state that their nervous system knows. Right. It doesn't make it good, but it's familiar.
Sure. Yes. So they want that familiarity, that familiar. I have a hard time saying that word. That familiarness is actually comforting.
Exactly.
Right? It's actually a comforting. Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm okay with that comfort, even though it's destroying my body in some ways, perhaps. I feel like I have that, no abandonment, that comfort that I may have missed when I was a kid or something else. That's really interesting. This is really good stuff. And we can go, I'm sure we can go deeper in that.
We can go deep. We can. I mean, even in relationships, when we find ourselves in relationships that are perhaps not the best for us.
Toxic, very. I see it all the time.
Toxic ones.
See it all the time.
There ends up being a pattern there of, well, I'm just so accustomed to not getting what I want. Why would I leave this relationship? I didn't get what I wanted when I was a child. And remember, this is all unconscious.
Right. Totally. Exactly.
And that's why I use the word exploration. Is there something to uncover, to bring forth into our awareness? Because it's the only way that we can transform it.
Yeah.
If we're not aware of what we do unconsciously, you can't transform it.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife and I always have these conversations. Like, I'll always tell her about things that happened when I was a kid, and she will too. But she's always like very good at kind of like exploring it, and then she'll be like, "Hey, that's probably why this, or that's probably why that," and then we'll just talk about it. I'm like, "Yeah, that is actually true because I went from this school to that school, and I was trying to, I went from the living in government or being around government housing to in 1 minute, and then the flip of a button going to Thornlea, which is all Jewish school, and I'm in grade 9, and there's everyone's driving freaking BMWs at 16. And then, so now I'm a big prep. So I went from the hood to becoming a prep to going to Dumbarton, which was like out in the farmland. It's like, I had no sense of identity. I'm trying to adapt here and there and everywhere. It's so funny. And anyway, so the other thing just quickly is about the, how men, respond to stress, because one of the things that I try to bring out in my brotherhood is when they are stressed out or they're having some type of a stressful situation, to share it in the brotherhood. And it's that brotherhood is actually becoming more like, today I went into the Facebook group and I saw someone say, hey guys, this has nothing to do with working out. I just want to talk about something today that's happened to me. And this is going to be kind of long, but I would just like you guys to read it if you can. And it was this long. I'm not going to get into what he said, and after, you could see all the comments, no problem, brother, we're here for you, that's okay. And, it's insane because, I know that all of these guys, including me, would have, when something stressful happens, kind of pull back, right?
Yeah.
We pull back, we isolate. For me, a lot of stress dealt, along with other things, led to drug addiction. And so, and then that's isolation too. When you are addiction and isolation, that all became one in the same. And so instead of kind of like attacking the stress, or when it was too much stress, it's kind of like, let me self-medicate and get away from it by isolating instead of actually leaning in like women do. So I can definitely see, and then in recovery, because I'm in recovery, so I see it all the time, like people coming in and they're talking when they're sharing and stuff. For me, it's great because I've been in recovery for a long time and, clean for a long time, but you can still see the same patterns. Like, that's why I try telling these guys, get in the group and share. Don't worry about it. This is a safe group. We're not going to talk with, we're not going to share what you shared, but we're going to help you.
You're basically giving away my, no, this is fun. This is, because you're creating a context, because basically what I want to say is like, when women are stressed, they lean in. Yeah. And community comes so easily for women, right? That's why women, again, as a generalization, they can be on the phone for hours.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
My conversations with my husband are 30 seconds tops. I mean, I'm mid-sentence. He's already hung up on me, right? Because he's done.
Okay, see you later.
Right? So during times of acute stress, men are thinking about like, all right, what do I need to do in order to win, or if I don't do something, will I lose? So there's that fight or flight.
Right.
So for example, can I do this? So if I feel like I can do it, I'll fight for it. I'll run towards it. Yeah. If there's any degree of doubt, I'll lean away from it. I'm going to run away from it. Right. And there's evolutionary underpinnings to this type of behavior. Right. So when we sort of think back to when we were, living in tribes, sort of women stayed back with the children in community, whereas the men left the tribe to go hunting and what have you. So at any point, if a man was separated from the tribe and he was under any kind of threat, either, being chased by an animal or whatever, is he really had to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this?
Right.
But that behavior was only designed for acute situations, not chronic ones. So the men think very strategically.
Yes.
And so what we want to encourage men is the strategy is the community long-term.
For sure.
Okay.
Hey, I just had an aha moment just now.
Yeah, tell me.
The aha moment is that one of the, in studying a lot about testosterone, one of the benefits of having high testosterone is you always want to win. You engage in not sport, but in competition. You're more focused on completion and winning and motivated to just, got people with high testosterone, men with high testosterone, just very like, yeah, I got to win this. Whether they win or not, that's what it is. So when I look back, when I had high testosterone and low testosterone, right? When my testosterone levels were low, which was like in my late 30s to 40s, That's when the addiction and everything else started, because when there was something that came out to me, I would rather just kind of hide from it, because I didn't want to like, let me just kind of self-medicate. Now my testosterone levels are high. Whenever there's a stressful situation, I attack. Like, I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's crush this. Right. And I see it in my group all the time. When the guys come from the time they start to the time they are, 6 to 12 months in, they're doing new things. They're like, oh yeah, like the one guy Clifton is like, oh, I feel like I've got way more confidence now in the boardroom and doing new things. He's 65 years old. Like, he feels like he has a second, like he's attacking things now. There's so many men in the group that are like started doing things like, oh, now I'm going for my master's, now I'm going for my doctorate, now I'm doing this. It's unbelievable how testosterone will change that mindset to, instead of, now, I'm not saying, again, we're not saying everybody, but a lot of men with high testosterone will strategize, like, okay, what do I need to do? Let's figure this out. I'm trying to change. I'm trying to add the fact of getting community in. Guys, you can still be the one I want to win, but let's put it in the community. Let's all get a strategy and help you, and then we'll attack it. But man, that was not how I'm moving. Because if I look back at my life when my T levels were, now it's just like, if anything happens, I'm attacking it. Like, not in a negative way. I'm just like, okay, what have I got to do? Or I need a solution. Let's figure out a solution. Let's talk it over. I talk it over with my wife all the time. Talk it over with my team. Man, this is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, testosterone, like we said, is an anabolic hormone, as is growth hormone. Right. And so if you've got more of it than cortisol and adrenaline, then your body is engaging in higher complexity systems.
Totally.
You're not in the process of breaking down. You are building and increasing in complexity, right? So, that's essentially what we want to be promoting in men. So back to my original question, which is, how do we address stress? So if I tell you that these individuals who are experiencing stress today didn't get a felt sense of safety, stability, and deep connection, then what is the treatment for them? And basically, the latest research in epigenetics, trauma work, attachment theory, and neuroscience tells us that we need 3 elements in order to transform our lives. Okay, and improve our resilience to stress. The first is an environment that helps individuals have a felt sense of safety, which is exactly what you talked about in terms of your community.
Totally.
In inviting to share without any judgment, without any criticism. Tell us we're here for you. So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is having a felt experience of who you really are. Right? So you are not your bills, you're not your mortgage, you're not your job, and you're not your history. Right. You are a loving and a lovable, resourceful, smart, intelligent human being, and having an experience of that. And the third is doing it in the presence of a caring other. Right? So the community that you've created gives men those 3 elements to transform their lives.
Totally.
Right? So if men tend to withdraw and isolate themselves in the face of stress, we have to give men the opposite.
Totally.
We have to give them a strategy to lean in. So I would argue that an organized program like the one that you offer your followers, your audience, that has men congregating, being accountable to the group and to themselves.
Totally.
Telling them that they can accomplish whatever they put their minds to, despite their doubts, builds their sense of safety, stability, deep connection, lowers stress. And by lowering stress, we lower cortisol, we lower adrenaline, we reduce inflammation, and we increase resilience.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. What you're saying, I see it all the time. I saw someone post something who said, listen, guys, this is my first post. I've been in the brotherhood for 4 months, but this is my first post because I'm generally a guy who's very isolated, like I don't come, but he posted something. Obviously he got tons of positive and amazing feedback, and now he's posting more.
Yeah. He
found it. Like he was just afraid. He said, listen, guys, I was afraid to get in here. I'm afraid to, I'm an introvert. That's what he said. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
And then he posted positive, positive, positive. Another, little trickle post, positive, positive, positive. And that's it. Like, my goal is always to get, like, I have, 3,000 members, but we only have 1,000 of them in the Facebook group. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always telling these guys, join the Facebook. I try to make our meetings only in the Facebook group. I do challenges only in Facebook groups. Because for me, I'm not trying to just be like, oh, the Facebook group is the group. I'm trying to get them in there, because that Facebook group is going to be the community that's going to help all of these guys continue to connect with each other, become, brothers in arms, and help each other and guide each other. And throughout the guys who are in the group are always the ones that get the best results. 100%. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a 90-10. There are guys out on the fringe who are still in the brotherhood. They're still part of us, but we don't see them. So it's very hard for me to connect with those people.
Yeah.
The ones in the Facebook group I connect with all the time. So I always tell these guys, get in the group. Even if you don't have Facebook, don't worry. Like, there's a guy who, he never even used Facebook in his life. Like, never. I had to call him and show him how to use Facebook.
Right.
Okay. This was a new member. He's like 60 years old. And I had to, he's like, I can't believe you're on the phone with me at 10 p.m. teaching me how to do this. Now he can't stop posting on the freaking group. And he still emails me every day. But I love it, because now he feels like he's part of something. Whereas before he was just him alone, 60-year-old man, kind of whittling away. Now he's getting stronger. He's feeling better. He's got brothers. He's posting. He, like, literally, it's just, he can't believe how much life-changing it is.
Yeah.
You have a community and know that there's other people who care.
Yeah.
Right.
So the community that you've created, your program, is basically resourcing men.
Yes.
Which is probably, to answer your question from 10 minutes ago, why did you not fall a victim to your life experiences, is because somewhere along the way, someone said to you, you matter, I care about you, and I want you to be successful. Right. Like, even your experience sitting down with your wife and telling her what happened to you, and she just listening to you, open-hearted, without any judgment. Right. Yes. And then just offering whatever advice she offers, but doing it in a loving, non-judgmental fashion, is you having a new experience of safety. Yeah. I am not my past. My past is not haunting me. Totally. Right. So I have, for example, like some adverse experiences that I had growing up. But I went to a very small French school. And as a result, I ended up having the same teacher for grade 6, 7, and 8. Right. And thinking back, that was so crucial to offset the stress that I was experiencing at home, that to this day, I think, like, how wonderful that the universe gave me the same teacher who after 3 years knew me so well. And she would tell me, I know you can do this. Right. You can do this. I have faith in you. Yeah. That was sort of the wind beneath my sails that helped me move forward and strive to do really well in school. Because it could have gone in an entirely different direction. Yeah, yeah, right. Sure. So it's not so much just the stress, because we all experience varying degrees of adverse childhood experiences. Yeah. It's what happens after. Did we have a grandmother who made sure that she would bake us muffins after school? Even, when you had to go back home, was there a teacher? Was there a coach? Was there a mentor that said you could do this despite what happened to you? Right? The relationships that we choose that reinforce our values and tell us that we in fact matter. Yeah, for sure. Right? So that's really important. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, like when I first started the online fitness thing, it was all about, trying to sell workout programs, 28-day programs, like just 60-day programs, even 90-day programs. And there was no real coaching behind it. Just, I put the program together, go for it. Right now, I want to be that teacher. I want to be the only
maybe not the only, but I want to be the only constant coach, mentor, trainer in these guys' lives. So they know that in month number 6, or like Oliver, for instance, when he comes to me in month number 8 or 7 and says, hey man, these workouts are tough, I say to Oliver, listen, look how far you've come. You can do this.
Yeah.
Now Oliver, and through a whole month, he's texting, he's emailing me stuff, DMing me stuff, and the workout was awesome. It was hard, but it was awesome. And now he's done that. He's crushed it, that phase, thinking at the very beginning that there's no way I'm going to be able to get through this phase. Now it's like, that was nothing, and moving on. But I don't know if he would have been able to do that. I mean, I'm not blowing myself up here. I'm just trying to say that I don't know if he would have been able to take that step if there wasn't someone there to tell him and say, listen, I believe in you. Because I believe in every single one of these guys that they can do everything. That's why I put the program together the way I did. That it doesn't matter if you're 500 pounds and you've never worked out before, you will be able to get through 12 months if you just follow the plan.
Right.
But a lot of guys have no way. There's no way I can do this. Yes, you can do this. Just keep going.
That's going. Right. So programs that just address the effect, right? The physical, the cortisol, all that.
Yeah.
The commitment level is not as great as when there's a program that actually addresses the cause. I believe in you. I know you can do this. I know you can crush it.
Totally.
And I'm expecting to see you, next month or whatever.
Yeah. Or tomorrow or every week. We have coaching calls every week. So yes, I do say I want to see you on the coaching call. Put your video on, make sure that everyone else sees you. Like, again, the broccoli is the program, right? The community, the testosterone, of course. But again, all of that is byproduct. Losing weight, testosterone, energy. That's all the byproduct of this for me.
That's the hook, right? That's the hook.
Right.
That's
get in here. Work. No, the whole thing is getting this community. That's why I call it the brotherhood. I didn't just come up with that. From the very beginning. It's okay. I want to create a brotherhood of men who are like a tribe of men from all over the world who are going to come together, support each other, grow with each other, and then take what we learn inside the brotherhood and apply it to our families, to our lives. Like, that's literally how I teach this program. And in the interim, we're going to get in the best shape we can. We're going to have great mental resilience. We're going to be healthy. We're going to be the patriarchs, because once again, I tell these guys, no matter what, whether you want to be or not, you are going to be the patriarch of your whole family at some point. It's going to happen whether you want to. So people are going to come up to you and, granddad, this, honey, this, someone's passed away. Everyone's going to look to you to deliver the eulogy. Everyone's going to look to you to do all this stuff in your family because you're the patriarch of the family. Mm-hmm. So you have to be ready for that, man. It's coming whether you want it to be or not. Like, so like you need to start developing those traits that we didn't have in our 20s, 30s, and even early 40s. Sure. Some of us still were kind of, still acting out like we were when we were younger and not realizing that we have to become real men. And, society doesn't help when we're trying to feminize men and it's not cool to have testosterone, or it's not cool. I'm trying to say, okay, guys, don't worry. That's going to be out there, but we can come together, be the men we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And then by example, we're slowly going to change the mindset of people, right? Like, testosterone doesn't mean you're a douchebag. That just means you're, you're healthy, you're good. You can become a great father, a great husband, a great community leader, a great whatever it is. Friend, yes. Like, that's what that means. And that doesn't mean you're, that's totally different. Anyways, I just went on the tangent there, but that's my goal, right?
Yeah. So I watch, my husband and I were watching this series on Crave called Billions. Are you familiar with it?
No, Billions. I'm going to look it up.
It stars Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti. It's a drama.
I like Paul.
It's quite fantastic. My husband loves the show. The one-liners in there are fantastic. Like, I'm there with like notepad and pen, just writing these things down. But one of the one-liners that really struck me was, and it was a psychiatrist speaking to an audience of men. And she said that many men will believe the following, that someone knowing you need help is worse than not getting the help you need.
Ooh, That used to be a
we need to get over
totally
that belief.
100%.
You know, if you continue to hang on to that type of belief,
you're doomed.
You are doomed. You will never be successful.
100%, 1,000,000%.
It will not serve you.
Yeah, I used to be that guy. You know what? I don't need help. I'll do it myself. And ran my business into the ground. Where now and then I just flipped the script and said, I need help. Everybody help me. And now, different level.
You can't lean into your best qualities, your strongest attributes, if you're trying to do it all yourself.
Totally.
This is not a DIY.
I know, exactly.
Your life is not a DIY.
No, and a lot of it's DFY, done for you. There's a lot of things out there that's done for you. Why try to do it on your own when now specifically it's so everything's done for you, like it's just follow the script, follow the program, just follow it. Don't try to, again, I always bring these things up because now because there's more guys in this program, some guys like, oh, I don't know if your program's going to work. I'm doing this and this, I'm 25% body fat, but I'm not sure your program's going to work. I'm like, I'm the type of person, I don't pussyfoot through things. I don't kind of, I tell him, no. So I said to him, the program's not going to work. So how is it working for you at 25% body fat? How's that going for you? Right. Like and then I told him, no, this is what this does. Anyways, at the end, he was like, okay, I got to trust it. Even though he was in my 30-day challenge, did the 30-day challenge kind of like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'll kind of do a little bit of what Funk's telling me, but I'm still going to do my own thing because, I got to do my own thing. And then he told me his results. I'm going, well, how's that 25% still? How are you still at 25% when you're going cycling for 4 hours? He tells me. I'm like, it's not working, right? So just follow this. Just trust the process.
Right.
And it always works out for whoever trusts the process. But it's so funny because, another person emailed me about how they had this disease, that disease, back issues, sciatica, all this stuff. Like, so I don't think I can do your program because I have this. And again, they expected me to say, okay, you're probably right. I said, no, fool. I've had that. The program, this will work on that. That will work on this. This will work on that. That will work on this. Your only other option is you're going to die, and you're going to die very quickly because you have all of these ailments. You don't do anything for it. So either get with the program or die.
Yeah. And
that was it. I go, that's it. Like, and listen, if you want to die, then there's nothing I can do, but I am here to help you if you want to do this program.
Right.
Again, it was one of those, like, and I said, I want you to get pissed off at me while I'm telling you this, like, get mad at me, because if you can't get mad at me, and this doesn't spark a light, then there's nothing. You're just going to complain. But I did say to him, I said, but the fact that you actually reached out shows me that you do want to do something about it. It does tell me that. Right. So you took the time to write everything out. So there's a little bit in there. I know it's there.
And that's what you got to run with, right?
Yeah, that's what I run with. Yeah. But I have to I got to give them the truth. I don't mess around, especially when I'm on my coaching calls. I swear sometimes somebody came up, said to me, oh, you curse. You said the F word. You're supposed to be a man of faith. I saw you were preaching at your thing and you're swearing. I'm like, yep. Yep. Sometimes I gotta give you the hard, honest truth. And that means
sometimes those two things are mutually exclusive.
Exactly. They can be on the anyways, I'm having a good conversation here with you. So
yeah. So my take-home message is the strategy for men is community.
Okay.
And especially now, when we're feeling so isolated and stressed.
Right.
You want to be doing the opposite to what your default strategy has been.
Exactly.
Which is, I say, and that's lean into the community.
Right. That's awesome. Because I know that when people first listen to this podcast, they probably were expecting, okay, how do I get rid of stress? Meditate, breathe, all that stuff. We can get into that on another one.
We can.
But let's look at the real issue here. Like, let's start from the bottom and move up, as opposed to trying to band-aid things like, okay, well, get the medicine, now let's breathe, let's do everything else. So you can do all of that stuff, but if you still don't have that that core thing, right?
Exactly. So when you have a felt sense of safety and security,
Yeah.
then even something as, daunting as meditation, which is sitting with your uncomfortable thoughts,
Yeah.
actually becomes easier when you
think
have
about.
something to fall back on.
Right. Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right. So it's like if I start meditating and all of my, I've got a lot of uncomfortable thoughts, but I don't have a felt sense of safety and security in my life. Oh, it's going to be really hard for me to sit down to meditation.
Oh, totally. 100%. Yes.
Right. It's going to
Yes.
be scary. I'm going to
Yes.
avoid it.
Yes.
But if I know I'm okay, I'm cool. I've got my people, I've got my community, I've got someone to reach out to when I have a challenge.
Right.
Then I'm more likely to sit down to that cushion,
Yeah.
on that cushion and breathe
Yeah.
and explore those thoughts with equanimity, right? Without any kind of reaction.
Totally.
But we can talk about meditation definitely for a
Geez. That's
different
exciting.
episode.
Yippee. All right. Well, there you go, guys. So if you're listening right now and you're part of the over40alpha.com brotherhood and you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group because that's what we do. Yes, I'll help you. I'll coach you. Yes, we do weekly coaching. Yes, we do Ask Funk to answer questions, but it is honestly another place where you can come to let everything else in your life that you're holding and get good feedback. Right? Because some people there are doctors in our brotherhood. There are psychiatrists in the brotherhood. So there are people in there that can actually help you, right? That are your brothers. That's the other thing. Like there's so many people in there that at some point in time, someone's going to be able to reach out to you and help you. We've got Dr. Dom here who can help you as well. I can help you. And if you're not if you haven't even, you don't even know what we're talking about, then go to over40alpha.com, join for 30 days for free and get in there. But how do we, again, connect with you, Dr. Dom? Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to reach out to you after this one.
I have Facebook and Instagram, Dr. Dominika ND. Direct message me and I want to be that resource for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Once again, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day, okay?
You too.